Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Great to be here with you. Love being able to check in each and every weekend for our Cabral HouseCalls. This is the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept, answering all of our community's questions, at least 6 or so every Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully you've been able to join me now for the last few years. This is actually going on our, I think, 7th or 8th year of answering about a dozen questions a weekend. So we've got to quite a few if you do the math on that, and you can always read along if you'd like. And today's show will be at stephencabral.com/2626. It's stephencabral.com/2626 if you want to read along with today's community questions. All right, let's dive into the show. We're going to get to all things health, wellness, anti-aging, longevity, you name it. We cover it here on the health-based show, answering your questions. Of course, not providing any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis, but something that I think is even better, which is looking for the underlying root cause. All right, let's get into it. First question's from David, and David says, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. You already helped me a lot, so I'm grateful. I almost totally healed myself and got rid of all of my symptoms thanks to you. I have hashimotos." I'm super happy to hear that, David. That's amazing. It's so surreal. I just want to stop for a second. It's so surreal to hear all of these success stories, and I'm just unbelievably grateful. So I don't want you to ever think that that's lost to me, all of your kind words, all of your success stories that you write in, because we reach people all over the world and we never get to necessarily meet them. And that's why I do hope that you'll join us this October. We're actually doing our first ever live event for our global health community. Typically, it's for our integrative health practitioners, where we invite in a couple hundred practitioners and we chat with them about helping even more wellness clients and patients around the world. But this year and going forward, I want to meet all of you. I truly do. And so stay tuned for that. If you're not already a part of my email newsletter, it's just on Sundays. You can check that out. And that's at stephencabral.com. You can go to stephencabral.com/newsletter to stay tuned. All right, let's dive in the rest of your question, David. I was super happy to hear that and wanted just to say thank you. So you were hit by a new virus, COVID, and got into the hospital. Since then, depression and anxiety are debilitating. The problem is I just got a new job and I need to work every day. I know it's not the solution, but I'm thinking on taking an antidepressant to be able to work. I love this job and my family needs the money. What do you think about virus and symptoms I mentioned? What should I do? Should I try an antidepressant? I'm so weak. I'm afraid of losing this job. Thank you. Okay. So David, you wrote in on February 5th. We are now looking at somewhere in April right now. Today's April 15th. So, that's been now 11 weeks. We are typically around the 12-week mark. So just kind of assume that, unfortunately, I read all of these in the order they come in. It'll be about 12 weeks before your question gets read live. What I want to say is this. One, I can't give you advice on pharmaceuticals and medication. So the other I always say is this: whatever you need to do in the short term, you do to keep on keeping on. All right? And no one should ever fault you for that. I didn't know back in the day how to get well and how to get healthy. When I was 19 years old, I was put on Prilosec. I was put on Cortef for Addison's disease. I was put on Florinef for POTS. I was on all sorts of different things. And I used that, because I didn't know, as a bridge to just get me to the next day so that I could then meet with the next practitioner who would one day share with me how to get well. And that's what I did. And I wasn't on medication for that long, but I was on it long enough to just get a little bit better. And so I didn't need it. And then obviously I got well. So I just want, David, there's no, if someone takes an antidepressant, what I worry about is actually the long-term effects of antidepressants. And I don't want to put the nocebo effect in anyone's head, but unfortunately, you can look up the research, but it doesn't help the majority of the people. And the second is that, because it's not working on the underlying root cause, it actually increases suicidal-based tendencies and thoughts after a certain period of time. So I want what's best for people. That's the truth. And if there was a miracle pill, I'd be all for it, to be honest with you. So please listen to my specific shows on long hauler syndrome or long COVID and how it creates inflammation in the body, the gut, and the brain, and then work on those underlying root causes. If you didn't have it before and it was a viral issue that created immune system imbalance and inflammatory issues, you can overcome this as well, David. You already did it with your last issue. You'll do it with this as well, all right? So do what you need to in the short term, make it happen naturally in the long term. All right? Because again, you always want to find the underlying root cause. So when you fix that, there'll be no need for any pharmaceuticals. All right. But again, I can't give any medical advice. Stacy's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I want you to know how much I'm learning and enjoying your book, podcast, and the Facebook group. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stacy. I have a quick question. I'm going to be having surgery for breast explant and hernia mesh removal in about 5 months. I was told by my coach that I need to do the CBO protocol after the parasite cleanse. The problem is I will be doing all of this is to then have major surgery as well as be on a good amount of antibiotics for a while. Should I wait until after the surgery and antibiotics to then start the CBO and CBO finisher? I don't want to have to buy the protocol again and do it all again. I'm already spending money on the surgery and need to scrape my pennies. What is your best opinion on the matter? Thank you and God bless. Thank you, Stacy. Same to you. And so I think that there's two ways to go about this. You do your parasite detox. You do your CBO protocol. People don't know what those are. They can find them at stephencabral.com/shop. You'll see them on the EqualLife website. If they work for you, great. If not, then, or you choose to, that's fine. They do work. I can tell you that. They're clinically proven to work. So, and it's called the ParaPro support, not the parasite cleanse, but I digress. So here's what I want to share with you. You could follow the protocol just as your coach said. And then you would most likely, while using antibiotics, you would do the CBO, you would do the healthy gut support plus the clean gut probiotic. But I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. So you could wait, do the parasite now, then do the CBO finisher after the surgery. You could do that. So yes, you're welcome to do that. Now, if you didn't, you would hope everything goes well, even while taking the antibiotics. You would do the clean gut probiotic, and then you would do the healthy gut support. So those are your options. Then if it grows back, if not a lot grows back, you would just do our smaller modified CBO protocol. But I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with it. You can do it both ways, your body, and you get to decide, all right? Gordon's up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. Curious on your thoughts on HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I searched podcasts and only found one on HBOT and autism. I've read it can be beneficial for traumatic brain injury, TBIs, and possibly good for vision issues. I've had several concussions and now experience what I call optical migraines. I get double vision, loss of vision, lightheadedness, dizziness at random times. It can be frequent. I'm thinking this could be related to the concussion. Could HBOT help this? Also curious on your thoughts on HBOT on cancer. I've seen mixed reviews in this. Possibly, can it slow the progression of cancer and or help with enhancing treatments? Thank you for answering what you can, and thanks for all you do, Gordon. Gordon, thank you so much for writing in. Yeah, I literally read your questions, and I feel bad the entire time that you have to wait 12 weeks. I really do. It's awful. I feel that way because you wrote in, and I want to get you the answer because you have traumatic brain injury and concussion. And I just don't know how to be able to, we respond to comments all day and questions and hundreds of questions in the Facebook group and all these things. And I just wish we could, I could get the answers faster. I haven't figured that out yet, but maybe one day with artificial intelligence, we can start to get all of these things in and you can ask questions and, we can have all those answers if we've already talked about it. So here's the thing. I am an advocate of HBOT and EWOT for concussions, traumatic brain injuries, dementia, Alzheimer's, anything to do with blood flow and circulation. So I'm a huge advocate. What I've been reading over the last few years with traumatic brain injuries and concussions. And I want to try to title this in the title is like HBOT and brain injury or something like that, so people can search this, is that it can be tremendous. And here's why. When there has been any type of brain injury, there seems to be a decrease in vascular flow, so blood flow to that part of the brain. And the analogy I've been given from really great specialists is that think about the like a tube being crimped off, and it's hard to get blood flow there. So it's hard to get nutrients, hard to get oxygen, and that part of the brain can start to not work as well or die or mix signals, etc. So what HBOT does, that's hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and EWOT does, I use EWOT. I'm going to be talking about that a lot more in my HPH protocol. By the way, the HPH protocol, Gordon, for you, I believe, would be phenomenal. And because it's, so EWOT is exercise with oxygen therapy. Even if your body's not strong, you can just sit on an exercise bike and pedal while breathing in oxygen. What I found is that in HBOT, you need 45 minutes to an hour. And with EWOT, you need about 15 to 20 minutes. So EWOT can work faster than HBOT. I'm a big fan of both. So don't get me wrong, you can do both. But you need a good amount of sessions. And so you need to be using the HBOT therapy multiple times per week. And it's hard to have one at home because they're very expensive. With EWOT, you can have one at home and you can be using it daily if you want for 20 minutes. And so I have not had a brain injury, and I, again, grateful because I know so many people who have, but I use mine for different oxygenation reasons, and it's unbelievable. So I'm talking more about that. I kind of went on and on about this, but why would it help the eyes as well? Very tiny capillaries. So you open those up with oxygen. HBOT and EWOT, for people who don't know, you're basically breathing in almost pure oxygen, or typically you're breathing in 21% oxygen through the normal air. And the increased oxygen opens up capillaries and blood flow to a greater extent. And with my HPH protocol, we actually help to disperse red blood cells first using a different type of technology, and then it helps oxygenate those cells and the rest of your blood to a greater degree. So I can't wait to share more. The HPH protocol isn't quite out yet, but it'll be there soon, and I will certainly announce that soon as well on the podcast and through my newsletter. Okay, so yeah, it's a go. Yes, for concussions and traumatic brain injury, yes, and certainly as a cancer add-on, not giving any medical advice, but as an add-on, not the only thing I would do, yes, I would use that for sure. Kelsey's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm on month 2 of the CBO protocol for hydrogen SIBO. I had my annual physical last week with blood work, and I see that I have an elevated ALT level. Prior to this, I had no issues. Is this a normal reaction from using the protein shake and CBO protocol? I'm searching your podcast, but haven't found anything on this specifically. Thank you, Kelsey. We have not seen this with ALT levels, basically liver counts. If your body, though, think of it this way, not from the products, but let's say your body is killing off a lot of pathogens, and those may be circulating, and your liver is removing those, it is possible it's working harder to a degree. The CBO protocol lasts 12 weeks. I'd be interested in having you run your levels 6 weeks or 8 weeks after the protocol is done and see if they drop back down. Because again, we don't know if it's a CBO protocol or it's definitely not the daily nutritional support. We haven't, we've been using that for a decade and have not seen anything with that. But let's say there's die-off and that's being moved through the liver, then the liver might be working harder. So that would be the thing that I would do myself. So I'm just giving you basically advice I would give myself. And so not medical advice, but you could certainly look into that. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Katrina's up next. And then again, because if you stop the CBO protocol and your ALT levels are still elevated, that enzyme, then you have to look at other things you're being exposed to, right? That's important. Katrina's up. Katrina says, hello, Stephen. I heard your podcast on body odor on 2372. I was wondering if you've ever worked with someone with Trimethylaminuria. It's also called the fish odor disorder. If you could give some insight on this disorder, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Totally understand what you're saying. And yes, that is the name that is given because of specific metabolites in your body that are not able to be broken down as well, that may come off, then you smell more with a fishy-based odor. Now, what I've seen though work, and much, much better, is that certain foods, fermentable foods especially, seem to create more of this particular odor. This is somewhat bio-individual. You'd have to see for yourself. But in my opinion, many of the people that have the fishy type odor have gut-based issues and higher levels of toxicity. So their liver, which normally has to break down these specific metabolites, does even a worse job. So if possible, I would run the Big Five. But if you can't, I would run the gut bundle, which is the food sensitivity test, candida metabolic and vitamins test, and the bacteria and parasite stool test. And if you're only able to run one, I would run the bacteria and parasite stool test. And then if there's a gut issue, well, I would do like the CBO protocol with citricidal drops to rebalance the gut, okay? And then after you run the labs, but before you do whatever protocol you need to, I would do a 21-day functional medicine detox to help improve overall liver function and toxicity. All right. I think we're going to keep it at that for today. So I've got more questions being answered tomorrow. Once again, I appreciate you. I thank you so much for tuning into the show, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your weekend. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.